everyone, and welcome back to the Knit California podcast. My name is Leslie. I'm a knitter in Southern California, and this is episode 18 of my 2024 podcast series. I'm excited to be back with you today because we have a finished object, and to be fair, I actually have two finished objects this week, so I'm excited to talk to you about those. I also have a lot to talk to you about spinning and a new cast on, and we have the giveaway winners to announce later in the episode. So hopefully this will be a jam-packed, fun episode today. I don't know why I did that. But let's get right into it and let's talk about my Farnham Tee. So this is the Farnham Tee by the Knit Pearl Girl, and the yarn I used for this is the Sandnes Garn Line, which is a blend of cotton, viscose, and linen. This is my first project of the year using a non-wool yarn. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit, but I wanted to just start with and give you the stats for this FO. I'm really happy it's done. This was like a super quick knit for me. I started this on May 3rd and I finished it on May 22nd. If you've been watching for a while, you know that I've been getting back into being a bit more monogamous, yeah. Being a bit more monogamous with my knitting, as opposed to in the winter I literally had like 5 cast-ons and I was like switching between all of them and then not finishing any of them. So I'm getting back into like trying to work on one main project at a time, which is really helping me just like get through projects and feel better about my knitting. I'm definitely a little bit more of a product knitter, and like seeing the finished products, finishing things makes me feel good. So that's where we're at. I knit the size G, which is the 7th size in the pattern. It is supposed to have a 49.25 inch finish circumference, and this pattern is meant to have 6 to 8 inches of positive ease. I used 4.5 millimeter needles for the body and 3.5 millimeter needles for all of the twisted rib finishings. I should say also the construction of this, it's a drop shoulder. You knit the back panel first, and then you pick up along the shoulders to knit the shoulders on both sides. You join the shoulders in the front here, knit the front panel, join the 2 panels in the round together and knit the body in the round, and then you pick up the sleeves and knit down, and then you pick up the collar here. The collar and all of the finishings are all this really short twisted rib. It's only like 6-7 rows, and then I did a sewn tubular bind off for the edges of all of them. I did not do the setup rows. I always get this confused, but I think if you do the setup rows before the sewn bind off, that is technically considered the Italian bind off, and then without the setup rows is the tubular bind off. You can correct me in the comments if I have those mixed up, but I find the setup rows to be unnecessary, and I never do them, and I think it looks fine without them, so that's what I did. Okay, the gauge from the pattern is 20 stitches by 28 rows on 4.5 millimeter needles, and I hit that gauge exactly at 20 stitches and 28 rows on 4.5 millimeter needles, which was amazing. And yeah, I knit the whole thing like directly to pattern. I didn't really, I might have lengthened the body a little bit, but I feel like body length doesn't really count as like a pattern modification because that is so subjective based on your height and the length of your torso. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay. I did take measurements of this before blocking and then after blocking because I really wanted to see how this yarn, like what was going to happen to it when I blocked it, and there were some interesting things that had happened. I had used this yarn before in a tank top a couple years ago, but I never blocked it because I was too nervous to block a non-wool yarn. I didn't know it was going to happen, and this time I was like, well, obviously I have to block it, so we just did it. But okay, my gauge changed a little bit after blocking. I will be honest and say I did not swatch for this. I just cast on, and when I first cast it on the back panel, my gauge was, you know, right on at that 20 stitches by 28 rows. By the end of the project, when I measured my gauge on the body, I was sitting at about 20.5 stitches by 27 rows. So it was really close. Like maybe I could have just stretched it a little bit one way or the other to like get the correct gauge, like exactly what the pattern gauge was. But I wasn't really worried about the 0.5 stitch or 1 row difference. After blocking, my gauge was 19 stitches by 30 rows. So the yarn, the fabric like stretched a bit widthwise, and it actually shortened lengthwise. Like there are more rows per 4 inches. And like, I feel like significantly, like I went from 27, 28 to 30 rows per 4 inches. So that was really interesting, and that did correspond with a change in the total length of the garment that I measured from the underarm. So before blocking, I measured 11 inches, and after blocking, I measured 10 inches. So I lost a whole inch. But I did seem to gain that in the width. So the width was 24 inches times 2, that's a 48-inch circumference, and I was looking at 5.5 inches of positive ease. After blocking, I had 24.5 inches, so times 2 is 49-inch circumference, and I was looking at 6.5 inches of positive ease. So I don't know if anyone has had the same experience with this yarn specifically, the Sandnes Garn Line, where like it blocked more widthwise versus lengthwise, and you lost a little bit of length in there. I don't know, I just found that really interesting. Like I didn't expect that at all. The sleeves stayed the same before and after blocking. They are 4 inches from where I picked up to the edge of the sleeve here. So that didn't change. But yeah, I mean, overall, I ended up with 6.5 inches of positive ease, which is exactly within the range that is recommended for the pattern. I mentioned before, the pattern recommends 6 to 8 inches of positive ease. So I'm right there in it. And I will say I finished this and blocked it, and it's been done for a few days, and I haven't actually worn it very much yet, but I do really like the feel of the fabric. It is a little bit thicker. So the Sandnes Garn Line is like a heavy DK / worsted weight yarn, which is a really interesting like yarn weight, I feel like, for a summer fiber. Like cotton and linen, you want your summer yarns to be probably thinner, but like it's relatively thick, so it's relatively dense, but it doesn't feel heavy at all. I will say when this was blocking, it retained a lot of water. I put this through the spin cycle on my washing machine, and it still took like twice as long to dry as like any of my wool sweaters took to dry. So like the cotton really like retained and tried to hold on to that water a lot, which was really funny. But now that it's like fully dry, it feels extremely lightweight to wear, which is really nice. I want to like wear it to the grocery store, or like wear it out when it's sunny and maybe a little bit warm, just to see how I feel like wearing it around maybe sweating in it a little bit to see if I get like really uncomfortable. But my thought right now is that like it is really nice. It is a really nice feel and a really nice fabric. I talked last week also about the different weights of the Sandnes Garn Line. Like this is the worsted, like I said. There's also a tin line, or like a thin version that's more fingering weight, and there's a thick line, which is more bulky weight. I really want to try the tin line and knit like either like a drop shoulder tee or like a tank in that, to really see how that feels in comparison to the worsted weight line. So I was looking at, I think I bought some. Did I buy some? I was looking at the yarn on some yarn store's website earlier this week. I did. It was really early in the morning, and so I couldn't remember if I did this or not, but I did. I bought 5 skeins in the color Ice Blue, so that should be really nice. And I remember I bought this from Mother Knitter, and when I went to check out, there was like a security question, and it said, what is the sum of 3 and 4? So I had to answer this math question to check out of the yarn store, and I thought it was really funny. I had never seen that before. Like, I know obviously it's there so that like bots aren't spamming them, but I thought it was really funny. I've never had to answer a math question to buy yarn before. So anyway, yeah, that is on its way. I think I'm going to knit a tank top, some sort of tank top with it, and then hopefully I'll have a little bit of a comparison that I can do for you guys with the fingering weight version of the yarn versus the worsted weight version of the Sandnes Garn Line. So that is it for my Farnham Tee. I'm really happy with it. I feel like getting this, like, oh, this was one of my Make 9 projects. So I've got another Make 9 project that I can cross off the list. Where is my Make 9? Here it is. Okay, so here it is. I've completed this. I have completed my Farnham sweater. Oh, okay, we're gonna talk about this comparison as well. I have, okay, spoiler alert, casted on my Poppy tee. We're gonna talk about this next. And my Ingrid sweater is still a WIP. So we've got 4 out of the 9 projects finished and or in progress right now, which I'm feeling pretty good about. I might swap this clove sweater. We'll have to see. Maybe in June. I know today is May 27th. It's Memorial Day. It's actually Monday. So happy Memorial Day to everyone in the US if you're celebrating. But maybe in June we'll do like a whole update video on my Make 9. And I think I may consider swapping out one of these patterns for something else. Maybe 2 of them. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I think it's totally like reasonable to want to like change your mind throughout the year. And so I may do that. Okay, but anyway, that's my Make 9. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, and I may do a full comparison video on these also, but the Farnham sweater versus the Farnham Tee. So the Farnham sweater is the full length version of this, and it's actually meant to be knit up in a sport weight yarn, whereas this tee is a worsted weight, which I find extremely interesting. You would think, just like logically, maybe a tee should be a thinner material, but I think that's just how it happened with the yarn choices that Sophie was using. Sophie is the Knit Pearl Girl, the designer of these patterns. But in general, like most of the pattern is the same. I know I had someone ask me like, if I buy one of the patterns, can I make both the tee and the sweater? And theoretically, yes, you can, but they are different gauges. So if you want to knit it in the sport weight gauge, you're definitely gonna want to go for the sweater. And depending on what yarn material you use, like for example, I knit mine in 100% alpaca. The designer uses a just wool plus a mohair. That is going to be like a very different experience. I'm thinking specifically for the collar, like it has that kind of rolled edge collar, which works really well with those wool and alpaca fibers. If I'm going to do the same thing in like a non-wool yarn, like a sport weight or a fingering weight non-wool yarn, I don't think we're going to get the same effect of that rolled collar. And so you may just want to do a modification, swap it out for something like this, the 1x1 twisted rib. If you want to knit it in a worsted weight, you may need to get the Tee pattern. I can see this knit up in, you know, a worsted weight wool, just, you know, lengthen the sleeves. I think having a nice short little collar here could still be really nice, or you could even, you know, extend it a little bit, do a folded over collar. Like the finishing pieces, I think you can figure out on your own and make it how you want to make it. So, but yeah, I obviously purchased both. Well, maybe it's not obviously. I definitely purchased both patterns. I wanted to make sure, number one, I was supporting the designer whose patterns I was knitting, and number two, I had all of the instructions that I needed, and I wasn't missing anything. One of the really cool design details for both the sweater and the tee is the way that the stripes connect and play together here along the shoulder seam. So you're starting with the back panel, like I said, and then when you're picking up for the front, you actually pick up stitches in both your main color and your contrast color to get this area where they join perfectly right here. And it's a really cool design detail in my opinion. So yeah, that's the Farnham Tee. If you have any other questions about this or the sweater or the two different patterns, let me know, and I will consider making a little comparison video for both of them. All right. I do have one other small finished object, so let's talk about my e-reader cozy. Yes, I have knit another e-reader cozy. This is my fourth one that I have knit now. This one is going to be a gift for a friend, and the yarn that I used for this is Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. This is actually a Twilight themed yarn. It's called Hoa 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 Hoa. It's like HOA, but it's the Twilight theme song music. But it's really cool. I really love this teal color. It definitely gives you, like, if you're watching, like when you're watching the Twilight movies and like they all have that like blue filter and then the forest is like this turquoise green color. That's what it reminds me of. So I knit this one. I did the snap closure and I sewed my snaps in. I definitely sewed one of them in backwards at first and had to take it out and redo it, so that was really fun. But I am knitting this, like I said, for a friend, but also as part of the Cozy Along, Make Along that is going on through May 31st. So there are a couple more days to join, a couple more days to get your FO and or your WIP photos either posted on Instagram with the hashtag CozyAlong2024 or in the Discord channel that we have. There is a WIPs channel as well as an FO channel. You can post your photos in there and you will be eligible for prizes. I am co-hosting this make along with Natalie from Knitty Natty, and yeah, we're getting ready to end it and get out some of the prizes this week. So it's gonna be fun. I am considering putting some like friendship bracelet beads on here with a Twilight quote. So Let me know if you want to see that. Annabeth from Annabeth is Knitworthy has knit a few of these and put the friendship bracelet beads on them. She has also knit a bunch. She has like modified the pattern to make them big enough as like book sleeves for her book club friends, and she put friendship bracelet quotes on all of those as well. So that's where I got the idea from, and I think it would be super cute. This one is for the Kindle Paperwhite, so it is a little bit bigger than the other ones that I made for myself because I just have the like Kindle 10th edition. But yeah, it took me 2 days to knit. I cast this on May 22nd and I finished it May 24th. So, alright, that is my knit e-reader cozy and all the info on the make-along. If you did join us for the make-along, I hope you had a great time. It was really fun. I had never really hosted a make-along before, but it was really great to chat with everyone in the Discord and just to see everyone's works in progress, especially if you were knitting up the e-reader cozy. Like, having your design out there in the world and seeing other people knit it is just like so amazing and so fun. And seeing where you're taking your e-readers, like, you know, when you're on vacation and stuff. Someone posted a photo of their e-reader cozy like poolside in Sicily, Italy, and I was like, oh my god, my pattern is all the way over in Sicily. That's so amazing. So it's really fun to see. Alright, let's move on. I have a new cast on, and it is the Poppy Tee. Alright, so I mentioned this when I showed you my little Make 9 photo, but I have cast on the Poppy Tee by Petite Knit, and let me show you the yarn. The yarn that I'm using for this is the Kelbourne Woolens Mojave in the colorway Mauve. And this is another non-wool yarn. It's a 60% cotton, 40% linen, sport weight yarn, and it's 185 yards per 50 grams. I picked this up actually at my local yarn store, Apricot Yarns, down in San Diego. I believe it was last April when they had LYS Day. Not like this year last April, like last year, 2023 last April. So I'm really excited to finally be using this, and let me show you my progress so far. This pattern is really interesting, so I'm excited to knit it and like talk to you guys about it. Okay, here it is. I did just join the yoke in the round last night, but it is another drop shoulder tee pattern. And so you start and you knit this back panel, okay, and then you pick up right here and you're knitting over the shoulder, that side and this side. And then what you do is, let's see, what did I do from there? Okay, you start, let me see, maybe if I put this on a little bit. Okay, so, okay, then you start from here. It might be the other way around, I forget which way I'm going, but you start from here and you're knitting along the front panel. You pick up the stitches along the side of the front panel, and this is starting to form the top of the sleeve. Then you knit across the back, and you come over to this side, and then you pick up the side here, and then you knit across the front of this shoulder panel. And then there were a few rounds where you're knitting just like around back and forth, and you are doing increases on these little sleeve areas right here on this side and an increase on this side. So you're knitting the sleeve, it's gonna go out. And then I just connected all of this in the round here, you can see. So now I'm going to be knitting it in the round and just increasing on these sleeve panels here. So when I got to the instructions that were like, pick up the side of your shoulder panels, I was like, what? I have never done this before. This is super interesting. So I was reading through the pattern like really closely, trying to find if this specific construction is called anything. Like, this is not a saddle shoulder. It's not a set-in sleeve, because the saddle shoulder is like what I did for the Riley tee, where you have a strip on your shoulder and then you're picking up from both sides of it. The set-in sleeve is kind of like a drop shoulder, but it's the part where you pick up the stitches is right at the top of your shoulder here. That's the set-in sleeve. So this is just different. And I didn't realize it was this different until I started knitting, because, you know, everyone's like, read the pattern entirely before you cast on so you know what you're doing. Does anyone actually do that? I guess sometimes I do, but like usually I just skim it, and that's definitely something that I did not pick up on, which is fine. I figured it out. I kept going. I like looked at I'll put the photo up on the screen, but the photo on the last page of the pattern really shows nicely what this looks like. Oh, the other thing that I was like worried about was the back. A lot of times when you knit drop shoulder, like you're knitting the back panel, and this is supposed to be the entire back panel, and then you would like join in the round like under your armpit right here, and I was like, this is not going to be big enough for my sleeve hole. And the photo on the back page of the pattern really reassured me that that is not the case. It's really just I want to say like the tip of the iceberg. It's just the top part there. So yeah, I'm super interested to like see how this is going to turn out. I'm worried that like it's gonna be weird when I lift my arms. It's like the whole top of the tee just gonna like lift with it. I don't know, but I'm going to trust the pattern for now, and we'll see how it goes. I do really like this color. I think this is gonna be a really nice color for me. This is one of my soft summer colors. It's like a mauve, dusty, light, medium toned purple. So I think it looks really great. And I picked this color out, like I said, you know, over a year ago, before I even knew that it was going to be a great color for me. I just really liked it. So that's where we're at with my poppy tee. My goal for this week is to finish the yoke and maybe split for sleeves if that's something. I don't know how that works in this pattern, but it's to finish the yoke. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's get into now the giveaway winners, and then we will talk about spinning. Okay, so in the last episode, I had recently hit 5,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So thank you so much to everyone who is watching, who is subscribed. It really means a lot to me. And so I announced that I was going to be hosting a 5,000K subscriber giveaway. So I had 226 people enter the giveaway through the Google form, so thank you so much to everyone who entered. I exported the Google form into an Google Sheets spreadsheet, and then I used the Google random number generator, and it generated the numbers 195 and 22. And so the two winners are Katrina Pittman and Leslie Buckley. I was laughing so hard that it picked another Leslie. There were a couple on there, so congratulations to both of you. I have already emailed you, and we are going to coordinate these giveaway boxes, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. So thank you again so much to everyone who entered. I'm thinking of maybe doing giveaways a little bit more frequently on the channel. as I work with a decent number of brands, I start to collect things sometimes that I don't necessarily need or use all of. So I do have a little drawer like full of giveaway related items. So just keep your eyes peeled. Keep watching the podcasts to see when I'm going to do another one. So again, congratulations to Katrina and Leslie, and yeah, that's it. All right, let's talk about spinning. I have been having so much fun spinning away on Lady, my Schacht Ladybug spinning wheel. I've had for a couple of weeks now. I have set up the Lazy Kate on the wheel, and I had to purchase a couple more bobbins. So I feel like I've got a fairly good setup going right now. And I finished my first couple skeins of yarn, and I'm so excited about them. Look at them! Okay, so this was the first one. This is a hefty skein of yarn here. This is Corriedale Cross, and I had like so much that I made a second smaller skein. They're buddies. They go together. They were the same fiber. And then I had, this is actually the first yarn that I spun on the wheel, was this pink Corriedale top. But I finished plying and washing these ones first, so I don't know, I'm considering all three of these like my first skein. Even though there's three of them. They were all spun and finished at the same time. And I have been keeping notes, I guess, just in case you're interested on like the weight and the length of all of them. Okay, so for these two, the big one is 130 yards and 121 grams. The smaller one is 78.5 yards and 72 grams. And then the pink mini one is 28 yards and 31 grams. So I'm thinking, the next question I always get when I show people these is obviously, what are you gonna make with it? And I don't know if I want to make anything with them. I'm thinking of maybe knitting up like a little, I made those little Valentine's Day hearts for Valentine's Day. Maybe I'll knit up like a little heart or something with the pink. That would be really cute. And then maybe I will knit something up with the smaller one of these. I don't know. The big one is just like so pretty and so perfect and so like sentimental as my very first yarn. Let me give you a close-up of it. Like the, you know, the thick and thin nature, the plies like roping together. I don't know, it's just so pretty. I don't know if I want to spin this up yet or at all. I know a lot of people just keep their first skeins as like a sentimental skein in their life. So I think that might be something that I do. But I think this would be really cute and just like a little heart. I have no idea. Maybe if I knit this into like a little like sheep or like a little stuffed animal or something. It's pretty big. I haven't done like a wraps per inch on either of these, but this is definitely like bulky weight. So I don't know if I can just like stick this card in like get an answer. Hold on, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm at about 9 wraps per inch. So it doesn't tell me like what category that is. Hold on. I need like, actually, I also want to show you my 2 books that I got. This one's heavy, that I've been like going through. I wonder if this will tell me. Is there a chart? Okay, here it is. 9 to 12 is worsted. Okay. Honestly, that's better than I thought. I thought this was gonna be bulky, like 6 to 8. And that, like, the other thing is, like, obviously some of this is thicker. Some strands are thicker than other strands. So I'm honestly probably sitting between a worsted and a bulky. If, like, the area that I measured is 9 wraps per inch, then if I wrapped, like, a different strands, I could probably get, you know, 6 to 8 wraps per inch, which is totally fine. I feel like I need a better tool. Like, this is the one that came with my my e-spinner, my Dreaming Robots EEW Nano 2, but I feel like I need one of these, like, I don't know, wooden ones that you can like wrap all the way around. I don't know, I'll find one. I'm sure I'll find one at some fiber festival or something, or Etsy. It'll happen. It'll be here soon. But yeah, I'm really like just like so proud and so excited by these. Like, if you're a spinner and you remember your first skein, I'm sure you know the exact feeling. So yeah, I also picked up, okay, the Yarnitecture book by Jillian Moreno, and I have been reading through this. I've gotten through 4 chapters so far, I think. The last I read was about the drafting triangle. I didn't finish this section though. Okay, so I'm on chapter 4, drafting. But I have been learning a lot, and this, I think kind of the most interesting part of this that I am excited to get to is like really combining your fibers to like get a yarn that you want to knit with. Building exactly the yarn you want. That's why I bought this book, because like I feel like so many people talk about like, oh, I'm gonna do a fractal spin, or I'm gonna make this be self-striping, and it's like, how do you take the fiber that you have and then turn it into a yarn that you're gonna like the look of when you knit it up? And so I am interested to figure that out through reading this book. And a ton of you guys suggested YouTube channels on my last video as well. And I have been watching the heck out of Jillian Eve's channel. I love the way she explains everything, and I have been learning so much. I've also been watching Fiber Love Diary and learning a lot from her also. So those are the 2 main ones that I've been watching and would recommend. I also picked up the Fleece and Fiber Source Book. More than 200 Fibers from Animal to Spun Yarn by Deborah Robson and Carol Echarius. And I picked this one up. I have not cracked into it yet, specifically because I got a box this week. And inside the box is a lot of fiber. I had a friend on Instagram, Sarah, reach out to me and say, hey, I would love to send you some fiber from my stash to play around with. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so generous. Thank you so much. And I get this box, and it is huge and packed with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different breeds and types of wool to spin in here. There is BFL, Polworth, Merino, Falkland, Superwash Merino, Targhee, Superwash Targhee, BFL/Piedmont Flora. Like, there's a ton in here. And so my plan, my goal is to spin all of these up, take notes on all of them, like how they spin, how they feel, how I like them, but I also wanted to know kind of like the properties of these different wools, so that's what I got this for, so that I could learn about them as I go through them. And then I think I'm also going to do a vlog series as I spin through all of these and talk about my thoughts and feelings and everything I'm learning about them. So they're all these like beautiful, like they're all kind of the same vibe, like greens, blues, dark purples, which is kind of fun. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with all the yarn once I'm done spinning it, but I'm really just like excited and eager to like dig into all of them and get them on the wheel and just spin them up. So I wanted to share that here. I'm like so grateful, Sarah, if you're watching. This was an unbelievable package to get and a gift to get, so thank you so much. I wasn't expecting this much, but I think it's going to be really fun to go through and to spin everything up. So I love spinning so much. I haven't had anything on my wheel since I finished plying these up earlier this week, and I've been like itching to get something back onto the wheel, but I wanted to like share all of this first and start the vlog, and I haven't been able to do that yet, so I've been waiting. Oh, I wanted to show you also, I had a great idea. I know I shared my whole like fiber stash that I have currently, but I was looking at these two the other day and I was like, what if I spun these separately and plied these together? This like pink like kind of matches some of the pink that's in here. It'd be so fun. So my plan right now is to like go through the whole box first with all of these different breeds, and then maybe my spinning will be a little bit more consistent. I would love to get to a fingering or a DK weight when I'm of yarn that I have spun, and once I feel like I will get better as I spin through all of this, just like practice makes you better. So then I will probably do this because I think this is going to be really pretty and really fun. So yeah, okay, that's where we're at with the spinning. I do have one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about that is like a previous project that I wanted to show you. So let's talk about my season's cardigan. This is my season's cardigan. I cast this on May 8th, 2023, over a year ago, and the body is finished and half a sleeve is finished. I was knitting this in the Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the colorway Oatmeal, and this has been on pause for months now. One of the reasons is because I don't really like the yarn. This is probably one of the top reasons. I don't like the yarn. I didn't like working with it, and I don't like the way it feels wearing it either. Also, when I finished the body, I had tried this on and I thought it fit kind of funky. I wasn't too happy with the fit of the body. And earlier this week when I finished my Farnham, I had like a ton of just like knitting energy. It was like kind of all concentrated into like cast on energy. I had like all these ideas floating around in my brain, and I decided to use that energy. I frogged a project and I picked this back up and I actually blocked it because one of my thoughts was, okay, if I don't like the way it's fitting and I don't like the yarn the way it is now, maybe if I block it, it will fit better and the feel of the yarn could change. Well, it didn't help. let's just be real, it didn't help. So when I blocked it, it still fits kind of funky. I don't even think I have a photo. It fits kind of funky, and I don't like the feel of the yarn. It smells super sheepy. I just don't really like it. The main problem is the gauge of the button band is different than the gauge of the like front panels. And I remember knitting this, like you are supposed to go down a needle size, and you knit the button band at the exact same time as you're knitting the panel, but you've got like a DPN sticking out of here because you're using a smaller needle size for the button band compared to your half fisherman's rib fabric. Well, it wasn't a small enough needle size for me, I guess, and for my gauge, because as I wear this, when I try to like close it, there's just like a ton of extra fabric in this button band. Let me see if I can back up enough to like show you. Okay. So if it's open, I feel like it's fine, but you can tell that like the bottom panels like go out a lot, like that way. So now imagine if I'm trying to button this up, and I've got my little stitch markers on here showing where the buttons would be. So they would be all the way to here. Okay, it's like there's so much extra fabric just like up here, and it doesn't want to stay buttoned at all. I don't know. I just really, I don't think it's fitting right. I don't think this is how it's supposed to be. The sleeve feels huge also, but I think it's just not done yet. I don't know, it actually doesn't look too bad with how it is right now. I don't think it looks good closed, but I don't know. I'm not happy with it. I don't want to finish knitting it, is where I have landed with it. So it's a little, I would say it's more than halfway done with the body completely done, and I've got half a sleeve done, but I don't want to finish knitting it. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do with it. Like, do I just want to frog it and like bless it and let it go? Do I want to try to give it to someone else? Like, I don't know if anyone would be interested in finishing it. I don't think the fit is very good, so I wouldn't recommend someone taking this to finish it. If someone really wanted the yarn, I would be fine giving it away so someone could like salvage the yarn. But I'm not going to use this yarn. Like I said, I really am not interested in the yarn. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. If you have any suggestions, if you're interested, I guess, let me know. I guess if you're interested in finishing it, I could get you the measurements of what it is now just to like double check. If you're interested just for the yarn, let me know as well. I had 11 balls of the Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, and I have 1, 2, 3 and like a half full balls left over. 3.5, so that's 7.5 that are like knitted up in here. So I don't know if that's of interest to you. You can send me an email at knitcalifornia@gmail.com, and we can chat about it. But yeah, end of the day, I'm not going to finish it. I kind of just like want it off of my plate, out of mind. I do really want a half fisherman's rib sweater. I really like the stitch texture. I think it's gorgeous. This one just didn't work out for me. I don't know if it's necessarily the pattern. I have seen other people knit this pattern and it turns out great. So I think it's just a combination of the yarn that I use and my gauge not being where it's supposed to be, and me not liking the yarn. So that's where I'm at with that. Okay, yeah. That is really everything that I have for the podcast. I guess just some knitting chat to end it. This week I am going to be working on my poppy tee, and I'll have my Sweet Shop blanket there as well. I did do a couple squares on my Sweet Shop blanket this week, but I'll show you next time I've got more progress. I really want to finish the pink section. And then I'm in the mood to cast on like so many new things, but I think I'm gonna try to curb that. I've really been thinking about the stripe pipe sweater. I can't remember if I mentioned this last week or not, but I've been watching Nora Knits, aka Nora Knits, and she's knitting up the stripe pipe sweater, and I have been staring at my yarn stash trying to find some DK weight single skeins to knit up the stripe pipe sweater, but I don't really have any DK weight single skeins, so it's kind of making me sad. I'm just gonna have to put that one on pause. I have also really been into the book club cardigan, and I've also been staring at my stash to find like a worsted weight yarn to knit that up in, and I just don't think I have the right sweater quantity in my stash for that either. You can knit that up in worsted weight or a sport weight held with mohair. I kind of would really like to knit it up in a sport weight held with mohair, or I feel like even a fingering weight held with mohair, but I was thinking about a fingering and mohair, and I don't think I'd be able to meet the 18 stitch gauge with that yarn combination, so maybe I just need a worsted weight yarn. I really have been thinking about like almost like a lavendery, but like a light purple neutral color, something very similar to Folklore from Sorella Yarn that I knit my Oslo sweater in. I feel like that would be a really nice cabled book club cardigan. So that's what's been going through my mind. I can't seem to like stop thinking about those. So I've also got some yarn on the way for a couple designs that I'm interested in making, a couple tank tops, and a sweater. So we'll see how that goes. And I got my Ruby and Roses Taylor Swift yarn collection this week. So that has been added to my Taylor Swift blanket stash. And I still have a couple more skeins of Taylor Swift yarn, themed yarn on the way. I am going to do a whole video and maybe like small series on making that. I want to go through some like blanket pattern options, show you all of the different yarns I have. I want to categorize them into the eras to see how I want to lay out the blanket, if I want to do it random or like in order. I don't know yet. So we're going to talk through all of that in a separate video at some point. So yeah, a lot going on over here. It's all fun. I love all of it. I just wish I had more time to do all of it right now. So alright, this has been kind of a long episode. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already. You can go follow me over on Instagram at KnitCalifornia, and I will see you on the next one. Bye! Bye.